Good evening. Call to order of the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency tonight, Tuesday, October 13th at 2020. John, would you please provide an introduction?
Hello and welcome. My name is John McNally, and I will be providing assistance during today's meeting. Before we start, I'd like to review a few housekeeping items so the public audience knows how to participate. Your microphones have been muted to reduce background noise during this public meeting. There will be specific times during this meeting when members of the public can ask questions and provide feedback. The first way is by typing their question into the questions section at the bottom of the GoToWebinar interface. Those items will be read into the record by a meeting organizer at the appropriate time. Please be sure to include your name for the record. The second way is by using the GoToWebinar interface and clicking on the raise hand option. A meeting organizer will announce the speaker and unmute their audio, at which time the speaker should state their name for the record. Before speaking, please take steps to minimize any sources of background noise and speak clearly into your device during your allotted time. I will now turn control over to Board Chair Stephen Grant, who will be presiding over today's meeting.
Thank you, John. First, we'll do an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. This invocation is titled Autumn Months with the unknown author. O God of creation, you have blessed us with the changing of the seasons. As we welcome the autumn months, may the earlier setting of the sun remind us to take time to rest. May the brilliant colors of the leaves remind us of the wonder of your creation. May the steam of our breath and the cool air remind us that it is you who gives us the breath of life. May the harvest from the fields remind us of the abundance we have been given and bounty we are to share with others. May the dying of the summer spirit remind us of your great promise that death is temporary and life is eternal. We praise you for your goodness forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please? Catherine?
I'm sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. Mayor Stephen B. Grant, Chairman Stephen B. Grant.
Present.
Vice Chair Ty Penserga.
Present.
Board Member Justin Katz.
Here.
Board Member Woodrow Hay.
Here.
Board Member Christina Romulus.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? I'd like to bring up, was it 17E and to 14D and have a discussion with the CRA board regarding the 115 North Federal Highway. I've spoken to adjacent property owners, and I'd like to update the board of my thoughts and feelings regarding the project.
That's fine with me, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear your thoughts.
And if there's no other additions, deletions, or corrections, may I have a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Legal, you have a purchase and development agreement status on Ocean One Boynton.
Yes, I believe I was asked for an update on compliance, the developer's compliance with the agreement in terms of reporting requirements. And what I wanted to bring forward was just a reminder that the deadlines that we extended will be, we extended them for a year. So those deadlines in the tax increment revenue financing agreement will be expiring in January. The commencement of construction that would trigger the failure of which would trigger the dedication of the park piece they're required to commence construction, and the most pertinent reporting requirement that you have to the board is with regard to their using due diligence to obtain permits and continue to prosecute permits until construction is complete once they do commence. I don't believe, Mike, there's been any activity, but that is what I have to update you on for that. And answer any questions you may have that I didn't answer with regard to questions about that.
Chair.
Yes, board member Katz.
Thank you. Tara, just so I'm crystal clear, when would the parcel of land that we sold to them revert back to us if they don't commence activity on that land for the park, I guess?
So the purchase and development agreement requires that they, as amended, that they commence construction in January of 2021. If they have not done that, they are required to commence construction of the public plaza a year after. So there's a trigger period to trigger that requirement, but the deadline for them to have commenced construction, importantly, is in January of 2021.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other questions? Seeing none. Informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Board member Katz, would you like to begin?
Nothing to disclose at this time.
Okay. Board member Hay?
No disclosures at this time.
Board member Romulus?
None for me, thanks.
Vice Chair Penserga?
There are no disclosures for this agenda, Mayor.
Okay.
On
For
that
myself-
regard, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mayor.
No, you went. What did you want to say,
I
Tara?
was just going to remind the board members that because we've amended the agenda to add an item, that would obviously fall within the agenda.
Yep. Thank you. And so,
Mayor?
as I mentioned, I have spoke with Davis Camelier and Buchanan Partners. Spoke with Arthur Dalmeda. I spoke with Mr. Islam, who owns the Chevron and the Ocean Mart. I spoke with Valerie Pleasanton, who runs the Ace Hardware. I spoke with Harvey and Christian Oyer. I've spoke with Bill Morris and Bradley Miller. And then I do have a disclosure regarding Louis Kalianakis, the owner of 407 Northeast First Street. I did provide him with legal services. I'm not currently an attorney of record. And so I just want to make that clear that he is not a current client of mine. And that is
Chair?
it. Yes.
Thank you, Tara, for that correction. So I do want to amend my disclosures. Since we're bringing up 115 back into the agenda for today, I want to disclose that I did speak with Harvey Oyer. I spoke with Bradley Miller, Davis Camelier. Who else did I speak to? I think that may be it for that property.
All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would also add I spoke to all those individuals regarding the 115 property.
Okay. Anything else from informational items before we move on to public comments? Seeing none, let's begin with public comments. Yes, you, please begin.
27th Way. First of all, I want to say I object to having you wear the mask up here. It's very hard to talk for more than one or two sentences with a mask on, which any of you who've done public speaking with a mask are well aware of. So I want to speak on the beautification issues in Boynton Beach and in the CRA district. A couple of years ago, the CRA and city did a survey asking residents and businesses what they wanted to see. Beautification was #1 for businesses and near the top for the residents, if I'm recalling correctly. What has been done to beautify our city and the CRA zone? I would have to say nothing. When you exit I-95 on Atlantic Avenue, you're greeted by landscaping and art. In Boynton, the kinetic art city, we have just empty concrete medians and a small sign on Boynton Beach Boulevard. Not really anything spectacular on Boulevard or Gateway. Again, lots of concrete, empty medians. Boca has different styles of landscaping at each of their exits. You go to West Palm, there's something specific on each exit. Lake Worth has been done beautifully, lots of flowering plants. And again, we get back to Boynton where the residents and the businesses have told you they want beautification as their issue and nothing has been done. And I'm wondering how much longer this is going to continue on when the residents and businesses have told you exactly what they want. And it does not give you the look you want, saying what a great city we are. We are a fabulous city. To walk in, to drive in and get off I-95 and just see empty concrete medians and just, some random businesses and expanses of grass. There's no effort in the landscaping. There's no trees lining the streets. There's no lights on the trees lining the streets. And we keep saying this over and over. And I know I specifically have 4 years and years since before this commission and the prior one. Under Jerry Taylor, I was complaining about this. So I want to know when we're going to start the beautification process that, your businesses say they want. How do you expect to attract business into this city if you don't make it an attractive looking city to come into versus going to Delray, Boca, Lake Worth, West Palm Beach, or any of the rest of them? So I challenge you to start living up to what the businesses said they wanted. Their number one thing was beautification of this city. And the residents, I believe it was in the top 5, if I'm remembering correctly. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Sawyer, to answer your question, there is a $20 million project that is slated using Transportation Planning Agency's money. It has been in the 5-year plan. And so that is kind of where we are still 3 years away from the 23-24 redoing of all of Boynton Beach Boulevard from the highway to federal highway. So it will take another 3 years in regards to all of that development. And as for the different environmental beautifications, the CRA is funding funding tree canopy within the city, as that is, I think there's $35,000 in that. So it is on its way. However, you can plant a $1,000 tree or $1,000 trees. And so that's where we're at right now, is that we're planting trees that will hopefully mature and create more shade in years to come.
Right, but that does not explain Woolbright that's been allowed to deteriorate to the point that it's just basic concrete, and it doesn't explain Gateway. And the tree thing, this is a new thing. This came up a few years ago.
So the aspect is that it is not within the city of Boynton. It is within the city of Boynton Beach. It is not the city of Boynton Beach's properties. It belongs to the state of Florida under the Florida Department of Transportation. Florida Department of Transportation has decided to make nice a lot of the more well-known areas such as West Palm Beach and Boca Raton, and has not spent any money in Boynton Beach, Riviera Beach, because they're not as well known. So that's why you see so many trees coming from the airport, is because the state of Florida planted them there. The money that they have to pay for landscaping. So the Woolbright interchange, state of Florida has to spend 1.5% of that on landscaping. However, they do not have to spend that money at that location. They have to spend it in District 4, which goes from Broward County, I believe, to Indian River County. So that is why it is more or less your state of Florida is where you need to direct your comments in regards to beautification on the highways. And
now, what about the median strips, which I have been told in the past were the responsibility of the city?
Correct. They were given, we received funding for the median strips. However, in order to maintain the median strips, the prior commissions decided not to. And so they went into disrepair, and that is where we are still at now in the process.
Why I'm bringing it back up again, at least once a year.
Correct. And we have the opportunity to fix the medians or the infrastructure, and we are choosing the infrastructure.
Okay. And what about all the rest of the streets that have nothing to do with 95? Like when you go up and down US 1 or Ocean Avenue, and this goes beyond the tree planting. This goes into
If you would like to
lighting and-
donate more money to the city, you're more than welcome to, and that is what would be needed in order to make a difference.
Okay, so then that, I guess, gets me back to the $293,000 that we've spent without allocating it. Thank you.
I have Ravi Patel that has requested to speak, and I have unmuted him. Yep, just wait. Mr. Patel?
Yes, sir.
All right, you
Hello,
have
everybody.
the podium.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to thank you for giving me this opportunity to kind of address the board. I'm new to Boynton Beach as far as the business goes. Just purchased, so very luckily, January 1st in the CRA area, physical therapy practice. So I'm a new EIN and everything. Then we got hit by COVID, and we were pretty much forced to kind of shut down for 2 months. And we've been kind of struggling to pick back up ever since. And I just have learned about a grant that helps new businesses with the rent. And I'm kind of trying to do whatever I can to save this practice. We're, I think, a great value and asset to the community, and mainly the population, the patients we treat are elderly patients. And the long story short is I just learned about the application October 1st. And if you look at it, I missed the application by 1 month. Now, I don't know how, I was, like I said, I was not around for 2 months of that. And there's no excuse that, but I just learned about it. And I was just hoping that I could be considered at least, if it can look at my application, please consider it. It would help a ton. I know I don't employ a lot of people, but we did add one person just in the last month. We're trying to grow, and I think it would be a great value. So I just wanted to ask if we could reconsider, or not reconsider, actually just consider my application.
I know that you, so Mr. Patel, hopefully we can get a consensus to direct staff to accept your application. I know I would be in favor of it, so we would need to hear from 2 other board members to consider it. And thank you again for coming and letting us know.
Thank you so much. And I also wanted to say, I'm here in Chicago, and it was very refreshing to see how you guys open the board. I grew up wrestling, and it almost kind of brought tears to my eyes every time we listened to national anthem. I'm not trying to add, I'll let you guys do your thing first, but I was just saying before whatever it is, it was nice to see the Pledge of Allegiance and all that stuff, because it's just nice. I just wanted to say that. That's it.
Thank you. But we still need 2 other board members to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I don't want to get your hopes up too much. So is there anyone else from the board that would be willing to accept the application?
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
This is presumably for one of our grants that occur on an annual basis. So could he not just apply for the grant for this fiscal year? Or is there some special details here that I'm not realizing?
Or
Yes,
if I may, Bonnie. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Bonnie. Great. Thank you.
Bonnie Nicklin, Grants and Project Manager. So I've been working with Mr. Patel. He was a recipient of the loan program. And anyways, in learning he's a new business, per the grant, you have to apply within 6 months of receiving your city business tax receipt to be eligible. He received that on March 26th of 2020. So we are just outside that 6-month requirement for him to be eligible to submit an application.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Mayor,
yes.
I would like to support this one-time exception.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm not saying I'm opposed to this, but what I'm saying is that the issue with this, and I've had small businesses in the past who've missed it, not by a month, but by a couple of days, and we have not made the exception. And so, you know, out of an abundance of fairness and to set the policy that if we're going to say something, we have to mean it. And, you know, do we now also then let anybody else who missed the deadline that comes and makes an appeal to the board, do we give them the opportunity to, you know, to do that? So I'm just putting that out there, that this isn't the first time this has happened, and I have begged and pleaded on behalf of other business owners to allow for this exception, and it hasn't happened. So, you know, preferential treatment or whatever you want to call it, I don't want for this board to be painted in a certain light because we're allowing for this to go through and not others.
Chair,
Yes.
after hearing Board Member Romulus, I would like to rescind my support. I do want to be consistent and fair, and I just didn't realize how many times this has happened in the past, especially in the matter of days. So I'll be rescinding the support.
All right.
I'd like to just ask one favor in this. The main thing is that when I had purchased there, we were pretty good. I'd like to hopefully get an exception on the basis of, and nobody wants to hear this, but COVID. I was shut down for 2 months where I was not operational, and I have the paperwork that I could send you where literally we were, because we treat elderly, I had to make a decision where we don't know how this thing is going to act or how it's going to behave as far as the virus goes, where I had to actually, after purchasing it, shut it down for 8 weeks in a row until like I was facing either bankruptcy, and you guys gave me a lifeline and you saved me. From that point till today, I was able to get one more employee on, Shayla. She's awesome. And we're working with the CRA, and they're going to work with the social media aspect and everything, try and grow the business. But I do really need this to just kind of be able to pay my landlord, really, and allocate the funds appropriately so we can grow into the business. But it's not really based on all the, it wasn't based on negligence or anything like that. But you know, and when I reached out, and I saw that there was this grant that was applicable, and I did miss it, but I was shut down for 2 months of the 6-month new business term. If we read it black and white, yes, but hoping there's a little gray we could extend on this.
You know, Mr. Patel, the aspect of it is that, you know, the rule says 6 months after you obtain your BTR. If you obtain a new BTR within your physical therapy practice, such as massage or something else, then it's something that hopefully the CRA board will consider because you obtained a new BTR.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
My question to staff is, you know, and this was the same question I asked when this situation happened prior. Do we continue to advocate for these programs so that way we don't continue to have issues where people are missing the 6-month deadline? Are we sending them mail or giving them some type of like heads up, hey, this is available to you, take advantage of it, especially for a business that took advantage of our COVID grants, but was still within their 6-month period to be able to take advantage of our regular CRA grants? That's my question to staff.
Connie, do you want to try to answer that one?
I'm so sorry, a 2-year-old screaming in the background. Romulus, do you mind repeating your question real quick, please?
So my question is, what are we doing to ensure that all business owners, especially those that are new coming into the CRA, know that these grant programs are available, especially if we were also offering grant programs for COVID, and if business falls within the 6-month period, I assume they should be getting some type of information letting them know that these grants were available or something.
Sure.
Did we do that?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. We do, you know, we do our best to try to let all new businesses know that are coming in. I work with Tracy and Renee, and we send out a postcard letting them know of my the grant program and also the social media programs and marketing programs that we all offer. So we do that through the business tax receipt list that's issued. We have the quarterly newsletter, and then just word of mouth too in our website and social media. We do regular postings. We did a public notice of funding, which I believe is what Mr. Patel saw when we launched that, hey, we have new funding October 1st. And I think that's the notice he saw. So I think in the chaos and the busyness of the loan programs, that was a part of the puzzle I missed in working with all the businesses. I was working on their loan programs and didn't focus too much on advertising our other programs at that same time.
I mean, Tara, the only other option that we could have is to change the 6-month requirement into 9 months or a year, so that we have that capability.
Yeah, that would apply to everybody. I mean, certainly you have the capability of making exceptions, but to address the concerns that have been raised, you could certainly extend the deadline overall, which would apply to all businesses.
And so, Board Member Romulus, this is the first month. I do believe we spent the majority of our economic development grants, all of it. So even if he did apply within the time frame, we probably would not have been able to give it to him because there wasn't any money. And so request that the board consider changing the time limitation from 6 months to 9 months, because I don't remember Board Member Romulus, how long ago you were advocating for these individuals who missed the 6-month time frame, but I don't believe I was the one that said no, that they couldn't apply. So
I spoke to staff about it, so it wasn't something that I brought to the board, because again, I was trying to exercise the action of fairness here and not try to bring something to the board just because it was beneficial to one person. So in that light, I would definitely ask to have that be put on the agenda for a discussion at a later time, for us to amend our policy on that, because I think 6 months is for a new business owner that's just starting out, that's just trying to figure out the lay of the land. It unfortunately sometimes it may just slip under the radar where they don't see the opportunities that are available to them. So yeah, I'd like to bring that back up as a discussion.
So can I get is there someone else for a consensus to discuss the economic development grants, to discuss the timelines needed?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think, Michael, you have consensus to bring it back in November to see if we can't extend the timelines and really look at exactly what the requirements are. So, Mr. Patel, not going to guarantee anything, but the window has not closed.
I just appreciate you all just listening. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I believe we have someone in the audience that would like to speak.
Hello, my name is Bernell Strong. Well, I did want to speak about the CRA, but some of the people didn't show up, so we'll just have to talk to them another time. But I am concerned. The last time I was here, there was a problem I was having with the library about my grandchildren. And before leaving here, you all had agreed that they would be able to go to the youth library and sit and do their work, because at the time I didn't have Wi-Fi. So when I sent them there, the next day, in fact, I waited 2 days afterwards and sent them to the library. And the library, they sent them back home, and they wouldn't let them stay. My grandchildren are 14, 15, and 17. So I came back. I had to leave West Palm at the time. I was at the doctor's office. So I had to leave and come back. When I came back, I spoke to the librarians, and they was explaining to me. So I said, well, I had talked to her and the board, and they said that my grandkids could come and do their work for school. So the district director came out And I recorded the whole conversation. So she told me in her own words that under no circumstances, and there would be no exception to the rule, no child would be able to sit in the youth library without a parent. She repeated this 4 times. And I stated, I said, are you saying no exceptions whatsoever? She said, yes, no exception. I said, well, you know, I repeated that I had been to the commission meeting that night. She said, oh, I know. I was in on it. I said, so you already know, but you sent them home knowing that this for them to go to school? She said, well, there's no exceptions. I said, do you know what that means, the word no exceptions? She said, yes. And right to my right was a little girl. She was between the age of 8 and 10 years old, sitting by herself, doing some work. She was a little white girl. But I said, I felt like this was discriminating against my children or just Black people anyway, because now you don't want the residents to come to the library without a parent. And I said, you just told me there was no exceptions to the rule. She said, oh, that doesn't concern you. I said, well, the rule, you said no exceptions. And she said, well, I would call the police. I said, well, do that. Okay, so we can get this all out open and this is what you want to track? Let's do that. She called 2 security guards. Again, I didn't get rude and I wasn't nasty with her. But when I told her, I said, you're being racist because you're sending my children home. But you're allowing this little girl to sit here with no parent. She said, well, the parent is upstairs. I said, no. You said no exceptions to the rule. And I know what no exceptions mean. No ands, ifs, and buts. It's not going to happen. I said, but you made an exception for this woman. I mean, I don't know her, but you made an exception. Okay. So they said they're going to talk about it. I said, well, I'll just come back and I'll take it to another level. I'll talk to the director. A couple of days later, I was in the library. I met Mr. Craig.
This is it's your 3 minutes, so if you'd like to wrap it up. Yes, please.
Well, I didn't get no results from Mr. Craig. He was very rude. And he told me that his assistant said I was rude. So I told him I had it on video if he wanted to watch it. He just said for me to leave his library.
So.
And a lot of residents would not come to the library. They would go to CRA instead of coming here. And that's sad because this is supposed to be for everyone in the community. So something needs to be done. Mr. Craig, he needs another job. He don't need to be here, and neither does his assistant. Because when you work with people, you're supposed to be respectable and professional, and neither one of them work.
Thank you. Next we have online is Kim Kelly. Kim, I've unmuted you. You're still self-muted.
Got it. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Kim Kelly, 529 East Ocean Avenue, owner of Hurricane Alley. I just wanted to speak tonight real quickly about the property at 115 North Federal Highway. I have spoke recently with many business owners, community residents, several developers, just about what this property can be used for rather than just typical mixed-use project that we see popping up all over the place. Possible idea that has been spoken about is a hotel with retail, restaurant, entertainment complex. And by adding a hotel, this will also allow tourism for Boynton to boom. And it'll make it a more comprehensive tying into the marina with the boating and the beaches and actually make our downtown something special for people to want to come to. Rather than seeing people go to Delray and West Palm, we want to bring people to Boynton Beach, and just putting up mixed use after mixed use after mixed use residences is not what the community is screaming for. And just to let you know, we are just about at 4,000 petition people that also agree with a different concept, and we would just consider and ask the board to consider this in the near future. And I appreciate your time.
So Kim, I did receive a proposal from you. And I spoke to our executive director. He said that proposal was not in the form of a letter of intent.
Yes, and I understand that. I understand
Okay.
that. And like I said, I have talked to several developers and I've given them my ideas. So now it's up to them if they want to propose a letter of intent. Basically, I was just trying to show the community and the residences and the business owners of Boynton Beach that there is an alternative to just the mixed use properties that we're seeing popping up all over the place.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
if I may ask staff just a brief question, I'd just like to know, have we received any other letters of intents in the meantime?
No, sir. We have not received any formal submission of a letter of intent at this point, as of today.
All right, thank you. Please keep us posted.
Of course. Thank you.
John, do you see anybody else with their hand raised or asking a question?
Mayor Grant or Board Chair Grant? No, I do not at this time.
Okay, I do not either. And so we will be closing public comments and be moving on to consent agenda. Someone like, yes, Commissioner Hay, Board Member Hay.
I would like to have a follow-up on the library issue. That's very disturbing if it's true. I don't want to jump to any conclusion, but I would like to have a follow-up on that. I don't know if this is an issue for CRA. It's probably sound more like the city. But I would like to, for the city manager or whoever is representing the city here, to maybe our legal can pass it on to their legal, whatever needs to be done. But I don't want to drop this just like that, because this could be a reoccurrence, and we don't need that. We're paying a lot of money to study our city and to prevent this kind of stuff. We don't need to have it. And if we can come to some compromise here and have a reason for what happened, let's do it.
Board Member Hay, I would reach out personally to the city attorney and city manager, as they have the background on this story, and I think they would be happy to share it.
Can I ask our legal to pass that on?
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Board Chair.
No worries. You're welcome. So moving on to item 10, consent agenda. Would someone like to pull an item from consent agenda, or may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 12A, marketing, business promotions, and social media update.
Good evening, board. This is Renee Roberts, social media and communications specialist. Our business development team has prepared a PowerPoint to share some of the social media marketing and business promotional initiatives that we've executed throughout the month of September. John, could you open attachment 1, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Staff has continued to utilize our social media platforms to promote CRA projects and local businesses located within the CRA area. I'm going to review some of the social media initiatives that took place in September. Next slide, please. And you can keep going. Thank you. Phase 2 of the Like a Local social media campaign concluded with a spotlight of the nail, beauty spas, and hair salons located within the BVCRA area. Next slide. Social media followers were encouraged to participate in the contest, which was run on both Facebook and Instagram, for their chance to win a voucher to one of the featured businesses. Prizes were awarded for T&H Nails and Shearology. Next slide. In September, we also promoted the third phase of the Like a Local social media campaign, which focused on spotlighting eateries and restaurants within the BBCRA area. Next slide. Social media followers were encouraged to engage on specific contest posts for their chance to win a gift certificate to the business of their choice. Prizes were awarded for The Butcher and the Bar and That's Amore. Next slide. These are two examples of project posts that we shared in September. Throughout the month, we shared a variety of posts on both the city and CRA projects, such as the Boynton Harbor Marina, Ocean Breeze East, Town Square, and the Historic Women's Club of Boynton Beach. I'll now pass the mic along to Tracy, who will provide a recap of the print advertising.
Good evening, Board. Tracy Smith Coffey, Marketing and Business Development Specialist. Here are two examples of the types of print marketing that was published in September to further promote the Like a Local campaign. We had a full page ad in the neighborhood news, which reaches 10,000 digital readers, and it's mailed to 17,500 homes. And the Delray News and Boca newspaper, which reaches 15,000 digital online readers and 12,000 papers that are distributed to 250 locations. This was to promote the health and wellness, fitness, and fitness businesses located in the CRA area. Next slide, please. I attended a Discover the Palm Beaches meeting. It was a round table meeting which discussed the marketing initiatives in various cities throughout Palm Beach County. And our Dine Like a Local was highlighted on one of their PowerPoint slides for the phase 3 of the state of Florida reopening initiatives. Okay, next slide. And you can go one more slide too. Here are two examples of the customized marketing material that was created to advertise and promote the Historic Women's Club of Boynton Beach. These marketing materials showcase the versatility of the building and how it can be utilized for a variety of special events and occasions. And these are the inserts that will be we customized a folder for the Women's Club, and one is for weddings, the other one is for meetings and events. And I'm going to turn this over to Mercedes, and she's going to present the next slide.
Good evening, Board. Mercedes Coppin, Business Promotions and Events Manager. In September, we continued our blog series on East Ocean Avenue. The feature blog provided a spotlight of the businesses located on East Ocean Avenue across the street from Marina Village and included an overview of Posh Properties, Mac Lash and Beauty, Boulevard Paint, the law offices of Reed, Griffith, and Warren, and Expert Closets and Shower Door Professionals. As of today, that blog has received 62 views. John, if you could please go to the next slide. On October 1st, we distributed the latest issue of the Redevelopment Works newsletter. The newsletter is divided into different segments and provided information on our upcoming redevelopment projects that are scheduled for this fiscal year, as well as a year in review of the Economic Development Grant Program and updates on Town Square and our Ocean Breeze East project. Our Hit the Biz section of the newsletter spotlighted 5 businesses, which were Link Custom Jewelry, ENC Beauty Salon Experience, Guaca Go, The Butcher and the Bar, and Prime Catch. The Marina section of the newsletter did an overview of the waterfront dining that is available throughout the CRA district and did a spotlight on Two Georges, Banana Boat, Marina Cafe, and Prime Catch. And we also included information about our economic development grant programs, our affordable and workhouse housing rehabilitation grant and new construction forgivable loan, and the neighborhood signage installation and repair grant programs. And as of today, that newsletter has been viewed over 500 times. If you could please go to the next slide. And then just one more. So in an effort to provide additional exposure to the new businesses entering the CRA area, staff has continued to conduct virtual ribbon cuttings, which are broadcasted on Facebook Live. On September 24th, we assisted with a ribbon cutting ceremony at ENC Beauty Salon Experience, which is located in the 500 Ocean building. And as of today, that Facebook Live video has been viewed 350 times. And that does conclude our presentation. Are there any questions?
I had one question regarding the literature for the Historic Women's Club of Boynton Beach. Do we define what a local is versus a non-local?
Yes, a local is someone that lives within Boynton Beach.
So does that
agreement.
incorporated Boynton Beach or unincorporated Boynton Beach?
It is just Boynton Beach. If their license says Boynton Beach, they're considered local.
Okay. So the reason why I ask is that there are some areas within the city limits of Boynton Beach that have a Delray Beach address. And so that's kind of where, you know, I just wanted to clarify that it's within the city limits or anybody with a Boynton Beach address.
Yeah, so I personally do manage the bookings for the Women's Club. And as we are receiving bookings, we are going by the address that is listed on their license.
Okay.
If it says Boynton Beach, they get the local rate.
Okay. Excellent. All right. That was my question.
Board Chair, would you like to have that further categorized down to the municipal boundaries of Boynton Beach only? That's certainly something that can be more clearly defined. It's not a problem if that's what the board consensus is.
I mean, the aspect of it is that for the first year, I think we should open it up to everybody and then see, we can come back with the numbers to see how it's doing the following October.
I agree. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion from the CRA board? If not, we'll move on to the social media outreach program fourth quarterly report.
Good evening, board. This is Renee Roberts, social media and communications specialist again. Currently in the SMOP program, we have 89 businesses registered. 5 new businesses were registered this quarter, and 79 businesses were contacted either by phone, virtual meeting, or in person. Next slide, please. ENC's Beauty Salon Experience is one of the SMOP businesses that has been receiving one-on-one assistance. They are newly opened in July of 2020. And as a newly opened business, ENC's Beauty Salon Experience had very little exposure on social media. Since joining the program in July, ENC's Beauty Salon Experience has been able to establish and grow an online following. SMOP has assisted ENC's in creating a Google listing. They currently have a 5-star review on Google, and the platform enables the owner to respond and interact with their patrons. The Google listing has resulted within 3 new clients within the first month of August that it was listed. Next slide, please. SMOP also assisted ENC's Beauty Salon Experience in creating a business Facebook and Instagram page in order to further connect with their customers, promote themselves, and increase their search engine optimization. Next slide. Intracoastal Jet Ski and Boat Rental is a SMOP business that has also been receiving one-on-one assistance from the CRA. Intracoastal Jet Ski and Boat Rental is an established business in Boynton Beach, which is now under new management. Before the SMOP program, the new owner and operator of Intracoastal Jet Ski and Boat Rental had no previous experience with social media management for their business. Since joining the program in August, Intracoastal Jet Ski and Boat Rental has been able to establish and grow an online following. SMOP has assisted Intracoastal Jet Ski and Boat Rental in creating a Google listing. Intracoastal Jet Ski and Boat Rental is now able to interact with their patrons and respond to reviews, both new reviews and previous reviews. Next slide. Through search engine optimization, Intracoastal Jet Ski and Boat Rental is now the second result in a Google search of jet ski rentals in Palm Beach County. SMOP was also able to assist in updating their Facebook page information and updating photos to showcase their current rental fleet, while also adding a Contact Us button as an additional and convenient way for clients to contact the business. And when you click that by visiting their Facebook page, you'll automatically be connected to their phone line. Next slide, please. Beach Tennis is another SMOP business that has been receiving one-on-one assistance. To assist in the promotion of their upcoming demo racket program, SMOP provided instruction on the free design program through canva.com. Using the online platform, Beach Tennis was able to create the attached flyer, which will be distributed to the Boynton Beach Tennis Center, Beach Tennis's online mailing list, and other private tennis clubs. Using this free design program, Beach Tennis was able to save money in production while creating a quality promotional product. Their demo program is planned to begin in the month of November. Next slide. The BBCRA Facebook has grown by approximately 138 followers this quarter and has grown by approximately 21.5% over the last fiscal year. Next slide. Our Twitter has over 10,500 impressions between July and September, and the Twitter profile visits have increased by approximately 53.8%. The BBCRA Instagram has reached over 6,000 users within the fourth quarter and has reached over 10,000 users within the past fiscal year. Next slide. Some of our upcoming activities include development of new social media strategies, assisting with the BBCRA strategic marketing plan, continuing one-on-one business assistance, continued updates of the CRA's business listings, collaboration with the special events team, and coordination with the BBCRA grants and project manager to promote the SMOP program to prospective grant recipients. And that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions from the board, we'll move on to item 12C.
Good evening, board. Bonnie Nicklin, Grants and Project Manager. As you may have noticed, we did not have any new grants to present to the board this month for approval because the program launched on October 1st. I've been working with several to hopefully present their applications in the next couple months. And then you can also see a list of the July through September 2020 business tax receipts that were issued.
Thank you. Next, we have Ocean Breeze East Affordable Multifamily Rental Apartment Project Update.
Yes, good evening, board chair and board members. Twee Shutt for the record. John, could you please go to attachment 2? So since last month's report, this project is completed with respect to the buildings and the interiors. As can be seen on these drawings or these pictures, John, if you can scroll down, installation of the landscaping has begun along Northeast 1st Street as of October 1st, and I would expect that it probably be continuing at a really rapidly rate where most of the exterior landscaping will be installed. In time for completion, the project completion date is December 2020. The Centennial Management Group is currently reviewing rental application from prospective tenants. And the interested parties or residents can contact the developer, Centennial Management, at Ocean Breeze obreeze@centennialmanagement.com or there's a phone number that's listed, and I'll say 305-455-5006 for more information. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to ask Twee if you had any more specifics regarding the applications. Do we know how many they're receiving, how many of them have gone through review and whatnot? I'm just curious what kind of outpouring we're receiving and how many are actually able to complete the process.
I don't know myself, but I know at the last time, I believe Elizabeth Roque was here, she had indicated there were over 900 applications. There are specific requirements, HUD requirements, that they need to comply with in relations to the low-income housing tax credit application process. So they have, depending on how they submitted the application, certain number of units has to be leased out to a certain income, required eligibility category. So I don't know myself because we weren't involved in that application process, but we can certainly reach out to them to give us a status, either in person or through our executive director, through like some kind of correspondence, if you'd like. We can try to reach out.
That will work. Thank you so much, Twee.
Thank you.
And if you do send me something, just make sure the entire board is filled in as well.
Of course.
All right. And I was asked to repeat the phone number at 305-455-5006. And again, the email address is obreeze@centennialmgt.com. obreeze@centennialmanagement or centennialmgt.com. And I had an opportunity to view the apartments. I saw the 3-2 and the 2-2s, and it does not look like affordable housing. I'll tell you that. I'm just very happy that the board here was able to help the future residents with the washer and dryer. I feel it is going to make a huge difference in their lives. And the goal is to help with economic development, building wealth in the city. The clubhouse that they have will have Wi-Fi, and it's very uplifting to see all the new residents that we're going to have.
Well, Chair,
Yes.
I concur with you. It's a beautiful project. I had an opportunity to go through them myself, and it's a project that we can be proud of. My only desire now is that we maintain, and I'm sure we will, because we have an example across the street in Ocean Breeze West. So Ocean Breeze East is an asset to the community. So I'm very proud of it. Job well done.
Thank you, board members. You really should all be very proud. It's a beautiful project.
Is there any other comments regarding the Ocean Breeze East? Okay. All right, so we're moving on to item E, Palm Beach County Housing Authority project update.
Yes, board, there's really just one item to bring to your attention since our September meeting, and that is that the Palm Beach County Housing Authority staff and development manager, director, Tammy McDonald sent the CRA and the city an email update on their process and their progress through the HUD application disposal. I guess there's like a technical response and a formal application for disposal, which we knew they were applying for. It looks like they are gathering letters of support from local advisory boards and their own advisory board, as well as local government officials and they had asked the mayor of the city of Boynton Beach to provide a letter of support, which he did. And this is going to be submitted hopefully within, I guess, the next, it's planned for October 15th for the advisory board. And then there'll be another step taken on October 19th. So I'm guessing that the application, according to their email, would be submitted to HUD by mid-November, mid to late November. The process for that disposal appears to be an auction type disposal. I'm hoping it's going to be similar to how we approach our tax deed sales through the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser website and Tax Collector website. So stay tuned for that. We'll keep you, and obviously the city will be working together with us on keeping you informed as to how that auction is going to take place and how we register for that auction and what have you. But we were hoping for a little bit more of a partnership and kind of direct partnership of disposal, but they have their methods and their procedures that they have to adhere to. So we'll jump into the auction just like anyone else would, and certainly our housing and affordable housing development partners will make sure that they are aware, I'm sure they are, of the situation. So that's the latest update.
So my question is, and I'll ask the board, is if they would like to add a letter of support to this as well, and mention our willingness to be involved with either the auction or the building of housing in there.
Mayor, I'm not opposed to that.
It's an absolutely yes for me. And I want to thank you for your letter of support. I read it and I thought it was wonderful.
Well, thank you.
And that would be a yes for me also.
Very good.
So Tara, I'm going to ask you to help me with the letter of support, if you don't mind.
No problem, and that'll be on behalf of the board for the mayor's signature.
For the board chair's signature.
Sorry, yes, the board chair signature. Sorry about that.
And in addition, I think that we want to have some language, if you could work with our executive director, about our funds, as we mentioned in our August letter, to help with construction or to purchase for affordable housing in the future.
Got it.
And so does the board need to have review the letter, or may I sign it as soon as it's ready?
Mayor, Chair?
Yeah.
Would it be more effective, or would it send a greater message if we all signed it?
I think it would be better if we all sign it as the CRA board. And so, or as many members as we can. So I think that's kind of it, is that once we have, we'll work through our legal and our executive director to get the final draft. And once it's agreed, we'll all be able to sign it, because I feel that it's better to move forward more quickly than wait for our next November meeting.
I agree.
Agree.
All right. Seeing no further comments regarding that, we'll move on to old business. Discussion regarding prevailing wage, benefits, and apprenticeship, policies for CRA procurement, and requests for proposals.
Yes, we brought this item to you at the request of Board Member Katz, and it has been on the agenda pending, kind of waiting for a discussion on the policies and the direction that the board would like to take. I know that CRA legal Tara and I have talked about this both with staff and her legal team. And we had some ideas on how to kind of zero in onto what your motivations are and how you'd like to move forward with the discussion.
Chair?
Yes, Board Member Katz.
Thank you. So just my personal opinion, based on reviewing the examples that were presented to us and speaking to some random elected officials I know that have held office in cities or counties over the years. I would personally be interested in honing in on Broward County's ordinance and seeking the CRA staff and CRA attorneys' advice on exactly how to adapt that to our situation, because it's different having a county ordinance versus a CRA ordinance, I think, in terms of the scope of the projects that a county does. So that's my personal opinion from reviewing the examples and speaking to other elected officials who have had experience in this, that if we could adapt Broward's and potentially even strengthen some of it, provisions about how much time would be required on a job to fulfill the apprentice requirement, I could see that personally increasing marginally, just to put a little bit more veracity behind it. But I guess that would be my recommendation, to have the attorney and staff tell us what recommendations they have to make it more specifically applicable to us as a CRA versus a county government, which is much more broad and vast in scope.
For myself, the aspect of this is that, we only have certain amount of land left and the certain amount of projects. And one of the ways that we can get this is with the tax incremental funding or assets that the CRA has, to require the partners of the CRA to live up to this. It's kind of the community benefits agreement that I've been trying to push, that what we do with all of our funds and assets, specifically the 115 North Federal project, and I'll have that discussion there, but I'd like to see something that, whether it's land or money given to a certain developer or project, that they're doing a living wage. In addition, it's kind of the economic development grants, where they need to expand their location and hire new workers, that we require that the employees receive a living wage. I don't think it's, just on the direction of where staff can decide, but I think hopefully staff can comment on my ideas and come back with the language necessary. And I'd like to open up to the board if there's any ideas that they have in regards of creating, the apprenticeship program, living wage, with certain funding that the CRA provides at certain levels. For example, $50,000 I don't think requires the apprenticeship program, but something over 500,000 I think would.
So I'll just pipe in to give you a little bit of guidance on how I see this playing out in terms of what the CRA does versus a county or city, which are the examples that you have. Certainly, these concepts can easily be integrated in ways that the chair has just articulated. So certainly, as part of any agreement for tax increment financing, or if you're selling land for under market or supporting a development or anything where you're granting, you could create policies that allow you to incorporate these into those programs. Most of these particular ordinances deal with procurement because of the legislative changes that were made this past session with regard to how CRA procurement policies work. That may be something we would have to work with the city to accomplish if procurement is the area where you'd like to implement this. I think staff, in my perspective, is that may not be the biggest bang for your buck from what I understand the board wanting to move forward with these. So it may be more on the side of the projects and the partnerships that we have, and incorporating these ideas, whether it be on a case-by-case basis or based on policy standards. That would be for you to tell me from a legal perspective and Mike from a policy perspective. But that, I hope that answered some of board member Katz and the chair's comments or questions.
All right. So I'll request consensus with the items that I proposed for staff and legal to come back with language. And I guess, is everyone okay with the aspect of the certain amount that of $500,000 we'd like to see an apprenticeship program?
Chair.
Yes.
Right now, the position I'm taking, and I've already stated my sentiments on this in a prior meeting, but I'd like to first see what staff brings forward to us, and then I'll go through the details then. But in general, yes, I will support that, and then we can evaluate the details in the following meeting.
Absolutely. And Tara, I also want to add subjectivity to the language so that not only this CRA board, but future CRA boards can make different accommodations available, so that it's not saying that we give 501,000, they have to have the apprenticeship program if they provide like on benefits.
I think where in our discussions, where our head has been at, and we can start here, is bringing you sort of a menu of the different benefits, and that you would keep as when we move forward with projects in these categories. And you've mentioned a couple that I think everyone is, I haven't heard anybody disagree. So when we're talking about a TURFA, we're talking about a purchase and development agreement, we will consider requiring the one or more of the following. And so it would be sort of a list for you to have on hand with you to consider when you're evaluating programs. So we can start there. Certainly that will probably tweak comments from you that you want some to be required, some not to be required here. So that may be a good place to start to give you a little bit more meat for discussion on the topic.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I concur with that.
All right.
Chair.
Yes, Board Member Katz.
And I appreciate the input from my fellow board members and the pending work from staff and legal. And I would want to concur, if I'm getting what the chair said correctly, that, you know, at any project over a certain dollar amount, whether it's 500,000 or whatever the amount is, per previous discussions, for the, at least for me, for the apprenticeship aspect of it, and a certain amount of the man hours worked through local apprentices or people in apprentice programs, I would want to, I think it was mentioned by other board members, and I agree, to make some things, you know, ironclad, so that it's not some things on a discretionary basis depending on the project, but certain projects that are, whether it's 500,000 or multi-million-dollar incentivized projects, to I don't personally want to allow us to escape that easily, or a developer to escape that easily. So I definitely would on bigger projects, that whatever is defined as a bigger project, I would want us to kind of swing for the fences, so that anyone coming in knows that, you know, this is the expectation. You should be applying with that in mind, right. And not to kind of come in and try to wiggle out of it somehow, especially as it pertains to local hires and apprentices and that. So I appreciate everyone's input in the, like I said, the pending work from staff to get us going in the right direction.
And I have Ms. Hoyer from the audience that would like to make comments as well.
Hi, Susan Hoyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. I would suggest that you go with a slightly higher number, just to kind of throw you a ballpark kind of idea of cost. Just in renovating my family's building that was fashion shops, you're looking at $280,000. So if you're thinking a $500,000 project, that might be a whole lot smaller than you think. And that could prohibit small businesses from renovating their smaller buildings. So you might want to aim a little higher, like the $1 million and up, where you might get a bigger business or multiple residential, and you might have someone who could better afford to hire apprentices, stuff like that.
Did you request any money from the CRA?
Not yet.
Okay. So
yeah, but just to give you an idea of what costs are, I mean, our electrical alone, I don't remember the exact number. I want to say it's going to be $50,000 to $70,000. So if you're looking at a $500,000, that could be a very small job. And I think you might want to look at a higher number as your baseline number. So just throwing that out there.
No, I would say it's the other way, because if we're giving out money, we would want it on the smaller projects as well, because that way, you know, if someone doesn't want the TIF funding or CRA assets, they don't have to provide the apprenticeship program. But if they're the benefit of the CRA assisting, we get the community benefits. So I look forward to seeing your information, Tara and Michael.
Great. I'm confident we can bring it back something that's flexible, but very, I appreciate Board Member Katz's comments about keeping it and all of yours supporting it not being easy to get out of. I think that in the days ahead, you're going to see a lot more potential requests of funding from us. So I think that this is a good position to take as we look forward. So thank you.
And I just want to add, I know there was some concern because there's a pending lawsuit challenging an ordinance that implements some of these things. And it's different than what we do as a CRA in a lot of ways. So I certainly, from a legal perspective, I have no concerns about being able to put something together for the things we offer voluntarily for people to elect to ask for us for things, as the chair said, that would not fall within that lawsuit area, even though it hasn't been resolved. I think we can get something that will not raise that kind of concern.
All right. So next we'll move on to discussion and consideration of purchase and sale agreement for the property located at 407 Northeast First Street.
Yes, Board Chair and Board members, this item is being brought before you this evening for approval of the actual purchase and sale agreement. At last month's meeting, the CRA Board approved moving forward with the negotiations and contract preparation for the acquisition of the property at 407 Northeast First Street in the amount of $268,000. CRA staff has worked with the property owner and the property owner's attorney, and I just have a brief summary of terms, notwithstanding all of the normal and required paragraphs within our purchase and sale agreements. But the sales price being $268,000, a 30-day closing, and then a 45-day post-occupancy. That may have also been renegotiated. I believe that Mr. Calientes' attorney spoke to me. Let me see, it may have been after the agenda had been posted. I just want to make sure what that date is so I'm accurate in the minutes. Yes, so instead of a 45-day, their attorney asked for a 60-day, which is the document of our attachment. Let's see, that would be attachment 3 is the purchase and sale agreement. And under the lease document, you will see it's page 17 of 22, John. I just want to make sure that you see that the agreement reflects the change and not the cover, the agenda cover. So it's item number 2, the term, you'll see it's 60 days rather than 45. And we're also asking for a $5,000 deposit, security deposit. I had it higher, but we discussed it, Mr. Calientes and his attorney and I, the three of us, and I felt like we could drop it to 5. I didn't want to go any lower because we certainly, he's been there a long time, and we don't want to have a situation where we just have somebody there longer than I think is appropriate. So I think it'll work out just fine.
Okay.
So I just need approval of the document and the execution by the board chair.
All right. There's no further discussion. May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we got a fiscal year 2019-2020 CRA projects end of year presentation.
Yes, board. John, if you can pull up the attachment 1 there for the board and the audience. This is something that really, it's kind of an ongoing report all year, right, that you get from staff. But we felt this year that we really wanted to start implementing a kind of a year end. We do our annual report, of course, and we send those copies throughout the state and different agencies, as well as the county and the city commission. But being that it's October and our fiscal year just ended on the 30th of September, I thought just a quick brief slide presentation of some of the highlights might be appropriate this evening. Under the completed projects section, we obviously have just not a small project, a really big one, which was the town square project and the completion of that prior to the end of the fiscal year, which is, I think, really rather timely that we finished it and moved in, and things have just been really great. I really think that this is something to be very proud of, and the funding amount that the CRA had put in for this fiscal year was $3.7 million, and we've already distributed that to the city as a reimbursement. The next project was our historic Women's Club of Boynton Beach. That project was very labor intensive from a staff and project management standpoint. I want to thank Teresa Utterback, who really, I mean, she treated this like it was her own home, and really took great care in making sure that this project was done correctly, as was TWE. They were on top of those subcontractors and contractors from the roof all the way through the floor. We are dealing with all kinds of things that people wouldn't think about right now with king tide, believe it or not. Even something as silly as the base of where the elevator goes down into the ground, you know, with water seepage so close to the Intracoastal. That's also something that we have to deal with. So we budgeted $425,000 for the general projects of interior and exterior painting and wood floor refinishing, landscaping, lighting, new doors, hardware, awnings. We resurfaced the parking lot, new kitchen countertops. We were given and awarded a $66,000 SWA grant for the painting of the windows, which we have received that funding as well. And good evening. And then we have the CRA itself has paid $322,175 out of our funding. So thank you again for your support of this project. I think it's really turned out gorgeous. And actually took it back to original colors used in that time period, so even better. The Sarah Sims Park, the next slide is the just a kind of recap again of our Sarah Sims Park renovation project. The CRA budgeted $645,000, and we have already reimbursed the city that $645,000. That project in total as a partnership was over $1.6 million, almost $2 million worth of improvement. And as you know, coming up this fiscal year, we have our additional funding for improvements to the amphitheater pavilion there at the park. Our next slide is kind of recapping our economic development grants. This was, I mean, I don't need to tell you how important this year was for assistance and how I think desperately our local businesses needed our help and have shown nothing but really just amazing appreciation and kindness back to you all in their comments and emails for the support during COVID and just our regular grants in general. That we assisted 14 new businesses during the fiscal year. We assisted approximately 41,340 square feet of improved commercial space. That's amazing. That's great. Also, approximately 118 jobs were created from last October 1st to September 30th. Again, that's it's not obviously near a BDB number, but that's a great number for a small CRA and in a kind of, especially during this year of change. And approximately $1 of every CRA dollars was matched by $2.23 of private. So we're getting good leverage on our funding there. our projects currently in process that go out into future years, although funding is being allocated, as we approach them. Our Boynton Beach Boulevard Complete Street Project. This slide depicts some of the improvements that are visualized. We are working now, and the city and CRA staff are working with FDOT staff, getting design teams and other types of professionals together, working in tandem with those agencies. We currently have $500,000 budgeted, $250,000 budgeted for design in the project, and we've paid $205,000 to date. We're expecting the construction to proceed in March of 2024. That's going to be right around the corner, as you know, time is flying. The next project that is in progress is the East Boynton Beach Boulevard Extension Project. That's a street enhancement, lighting enhancement, pedestrian enhancement, and parking enhancement project that we are funding with the city of Boynton Beach. We've allocated $500,000 to match the city's funds. I believe they're putting in $615,000. The bid process is anticipated to begin this month, but I would imagine that we're probably looking at a November, December release date for the bids. But that's a big project for us. Increasing our parking there will be a great help to our local businesses and traffic flow, as well as pedestrian safety and lighting. This is just another, astounding and just a wonderful project. So excited about this. I hope you all are too. I know you are. The Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard mixed-use project, that during this fiscal year received the funding award from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation's low-income housing tax credit funding program to the tune of upwards of $26 to $30 million. This is going to take over 3.92 acres of previously owned CRA property, now under the ownership of the Centennial Management Corp, or the same company that's doing Ocean Breeze East right now. We are looking at 124 affordable multifamily rental apartments and approximately 8,500 square feet of commercial space on the north side of the street, and all the majority of the apartments will be on the south side of the street. And again, this is just fabulous. We budgeted, in addition to the land, we budgeted $625,750 as a local match to that 9% tax credit program application. And we're estimating construction to begin in spring of 2021, late summer if it stretches. But this will definitely have shovels in the ground during the calendar year of 2021, which is fabulous.
Hey.
Yeah, right. And then it really kind of makes your heart jump a little bit. Big success, really. The Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard project and the Ocean Breeze East project together, and I think I say this just about every time we talk about it. Those two projects just kind of coming on the tail, one finishing and the other starting. It's 250 plus units of much needed affordable multifamily rental for the very low and low income, not workforce, but the very low, 30% to 60%, and blocks away from each other. This is just a major improvement to the area. It's very exciting to see something so beautiful coming out of the ground, and the jobs that were created with that project. And the last project under the projects in progress, as you know, we have a RFP out currently on the street that's due October 23rd. We are getting a lot of registrations. There's probably 7 to 10 registrants already for proposal submittal. There's still time left to register. We have budgeted $390,000, and we have 4.3 acres of land that the CRA owns. And this is designed to be a home ownership, workforce and affordable housing home ownership project, whether that be all attached or some detached and attached units. But this is a home ownership component project where we have just talked about the other two rental projects. So we're diversifying, as well as Ocean Breeze West was also 21 single family home ownership units. So again, we're really, I think, balancing that rental and homeownership equation. Of course, the Ocean Breeze East Apartments is your next slides. John,
Mike?
the under affordable. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Is there any possibility of getting those other parcels that kind of dips in, and there's two of them there? Is there any possibility, any talks, anything on the table to try to negotiate to get those properties for the cottage district?
Certainly, board member Chair, there we are always open to that discussion, and we have a very good relationship with one of the owners that we speak on a kind of semi-annual basis. A couple times a year, she contacts us. I believe there's probably a greater chance once the developer is selected to get, I think, better leverage on acquisition than the CRA itself. So I'm confident that there will be certainly attempts made, I think, in a more serious and aggressive manner than to date. I think just waiting for the RFP to come out. But we certainly are encouraging that as part of the RFP. Ocean Breeze East Apartments, as I mentioned, that's a 4.4 acre parcel that the CRA owned for many years. And that is again, a Florida Housing Finance Corporation funded project through their low-income housing tax credit program. The CRA was able to earn in a sale from the developer. He purchased the property for $800,000. Again, about a $26 million project, 123 units, and clubhouse, tot lot, great landscaping. I think very attractive design. And the CRA contributed $567,500 as a governmental match, part of the application to the 9% low-income housing tax credit program. Moving on to the next slide, which is model block. This is really an ongoing project of several years now, but once we completed last summer the improvements to the roadway of Northwest 11th Avenue with the city in partnership and purchasing the property from Palm Beach County, this project really kind of took off. The CRA acquired all of the lots on Northwest 11th and surrendered them over to the city, where they then did a request for proposal and ended up partnering with Habitat and the Boynton Beach faith-based CDC. So we're looking at 10 homes in total, 5 for the Habitat and 5 being built by the CDC, and you can see the progress photos. Again, just a massive change to that street from even 4 years ago. Just really fabulous. Then part of our affordable housing, we have assisted on the Habitat and the CDC with a project at Northeast 12th Avenue, their duplex, and the 110 Northwest 6th Avenue. Those were properties that were given over to them for affordable units. We also provided funding for sewer connections, and we budgeted for, let's see, 4 units in total, 2 by the CDC and then 2 by Habitat, and we expended a little over $20,000 to bring those lines in. Again, infrastructure and excellent supported, statutorily supported group of expenditures there on infrastructure and water and sewer. So that helped make those affordable, without which that number would have had to go into the price of the house. So that's the intent of our project there and our involvement. We had some beautification under slum and blight category with assisting the city. If you go to the next slide, John, our next 2. One more. Perfect. That the CRA assisted the city with $12,000 worth of our budget funds for tree improvements and landscape improvements to the planter beds on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And the next slide shows the demolition of a house that we purchased. We purchased the lot at 1001 North Railroad Avenue. again, we were fortunate enough to get this SWA grant, and we got $10,950 to perform that. So we saved the CRA money from there, and you can see what a difference that made. We also took down, as part of the Cottage District project, the 145 Northeast 4th Avenue project and property, sorry, and we did the demolition there, making way for the Cottage District project to continue. If John will go on to just have a couple more board, I won't drag this out a whole lot longer. This is, I think, one of our last two. This is a report that, again, we wanted to highlight for you. We felt that it just didn't want to get buried in an annual report or kind of backup documentation. This is a culmination of data from our fiscal year, October 1 to September 30th activity at the CRA owned, right? So you own the fuel dock and our slips. The number of boats that we assisted at the marina with just diesel alone is 486 vessels, sales revenue of 147,000, and approximately 52,000 gallons of diesel sold in the fiscal year. With regard to marine gas, our Recreation 90 gas, which is a Valvetech gas, very sought after by boaters because of the high octane, and also the gas is treated with substances so it does not gum up in a boat. It can stay longer in a boat without causing carburetor problems and what have you. So it's really, I think, not everybody offers that. It's something we've been doing, and Brian Smith has been running that, just doing a great job. But for gas sales, 5,558 boats, vessels, gas vessels this year alone, and just under $1 million, $944,296 worth of sales revenue in gas. 288,000 gallons of gasoline fuel was sold. So that's, again, things that people don't think about that we do every day that are happening and operational while they go to work, and you all manage the company from where you do. So combined fuel income was $1,091,000, and the estimated revenue from that is $436,000. So again, just a great asset, something that we've owned now since 2006 and 2007. We've put in quite a bit of money into that over the years, upwards with acquisition of about $20 million. But you can see the activity. It's just, you're almost at 6,000 vessels there, over 6,000 vessels a year. We have our transient boat dockage. We have a little program there where people can spend up to, I think, no more than 3 nights and pay a fee to dock just as an overnight guest, kind of like a little mini motel as they move up and down the Intracoastal. We had 107 boats take advantage of that program this year, $17,269 in revenue. And our commercial dockage, which is our slips that we own, those 15 commercial tenants generated $63,526 in slip revenue. So again, just a really great numbers, I think. Other relevant data with regard to the marina, our ship store. We've had, as far as visitors and kind of the activity there at our marina, pre-COVID, of course, but in the time period between October 1st and kind of the COVID shutdown, we estimate inside the store about 9,000 people. The sales revenue overall for the store is $32,000. We get 10% of that revenue, so we generated $3,281 from the sales. And we estimate over the course of the year about 120,000 visitors to our open space and other harbor master and slip areas. So again, a great public space. We've entered this into many awards for public space and received a few, but it's just a great asset that complements the other city assets. But it's a great one for the CRA. And again, everybody there should be very proud. And thanks again to staff. This doesn't happen without everybody's hard work in the CRA. The the 8 or 9 people that you have working for you and the public has working for them, as well as our marina manager, Brian Smith, of many, many years. So just wanted again to give you that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If, the copies, obviously, for the public are available online of this backup, or they can certainly contact the CRA and we'll send them copies of the slideshow.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments before we move on to the next item?
Just one comment.
Yes, Board Member Romulus.
I just wanted to commend Mike and the CRA staff on the great work you guys have all been doing and for this nice, very visual recap. Do appreciate that. And I also want to say, I think it's pretty phenomenal that you're comparing yourself to the BDB. That says that you have some pretty high standards. So thank you for that. We're on the right
little tiny bit.
Absolutely. We're on the right
You're a
path.
great partner. Great partner. Thank you. Thank you, Board Member.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And yes, we look forward to working with you. We had the amended item regarding a discussion of 115 North Federal. If you don't mind, I'd like to begin. I've had a discussion with Bill Morris and Bradley Miller. And, you know, I have some concerns regarding their letter of intent. The first is I don't think the offer is proper in the sense is that they say that they're going to give us $3 million, but instead of giving us that money, they're going to build us the parking spaces. We already have over 100 parking spaces there, so it's not necessarily we're getting much additional as a CRA in additional benefits to the community because the community already has that parking spaces. Secondly, we're not getting the $3 million up front. We're getting that in lieu of a payment. So this is something that the CRA board might want to consider, that we get the $3 million up front, and as the project progresses, we give that money back so that, you know, at the time of permitting, you know, we'll put it as a third, at the time of construction as a third, and that at time of, what is it? You know, and then completion a third. That way, you know, the CRA is not on the hook if something doesn't happen. My second concern is the adjacent properties. I spoke with Davis Camelier, who owns the boardwalk. I don't feel that the boardwalk is a proper use of that land. And I feel that, and the conversation I had with him on October 1st, the developers have not spoken to him in regards to putting a request to buy it. Bill Morris did say that he was willing to buy that, also the Ace Hardware. And my main request from Bill Morris was that he put an offer in writing so that there's something to work from, because verbal offers don't hold any weight in regards to land. In addition, there are also adjacent properties that may not be involved in the development. And how do we help those properties improve their value? I've had conversations with the executive director regarding our economic development grants, and when they make exterior facade or interior facade, it's a change to the property, which allows the property appraiser to adjust the property value. And so if they've owned the property for 10 years, they may not be up to that level because of how far the property has depreciated in the from 2009 to 2013, because it can only go up 10% a year. And so my concern is that we put adjacent properties into the project because we don't get an opportunity to build the project again. There are street-facing properties, which adds a lot more taxable value and a lot more property value. And so the last thing is the information that I've received is that, you know, I took a look at the Worthington place because he mentions that as one of his accomplishments. However, there are 2 vacant lots next to that building, and it doesn't look like anyone can build at that location. And I believe that one of the vacant lots he let foreclose because he didn't need it as part of his project. I don't want to see vacant lots as part of this project. I want to see, as much of that block as we can put into it. And, the conversation between Bill Morris and Davis Camelier, Mr. Camelier had a different side to what Bill Morris's side. And so I think, this is something that we need to get addressed, hopefully at next meeting, because it's not just us, if we have received another letter of intent, but this is something that we need to start discussing now, because I'd like to move forward, I believe, with the rest of the commission in building the best project that we can. And at last, I have had talks with the Transportation Planning Agency Executive Director, and hopefully by November, we will get an update of the other train stations that are going on in South Florida. As it currently stands, Miami-Dade County is planning 5 transit stops, commuter stations on the FEC corridor. And we already know that Boca Raton is getting one. They received $16 million in federal funding. West Palm Beach has theirs built. And then north of the Northwood connection, there are plans to build the Palm Beach Gardens and Jupiter tri-rail stations. And so I think we need to get a better understanding of the FEC corridor before we lose our property there, because if we don't keep that property, and when a train station comes, we're going to lose it, because according to the drawing, it's a parking lot that I don't think there's not enough parking to make a train station work if there's already a development there. So those are my concerns and comments, and look forward to hearing from the rest of the board. If they have anything, if you have anything to say. If not, well, yes.
I appreciate you bringing this up a little bit sooner than it otherwise would have. I want to reiterate comments that I made when I voted to accept the letter of interest, and that was, and I think amidst the presentation and the media hype and some of the misinformation that was kind of perpetuated out there, people were under the impression that what was presented to us, which was unsolicited, it wasn't as though we had crafted any of that, that was what we were doing. And to reiterate my statements that night, I was in no way supporting any specific project, any specific time frame. My support was to find a bona fide partner that could build whatever we envision, and I'm still at that exact position, that we need to find a partner, whether that's the current partner who might materialize through the letter of intent or through an RFP. I'm open to anything, but I just want to make sure that the public knows that in spite of what was being reported or perpetuated, that this board has never once approved of, sanctioned, voted in support of anything specific. We just all seem to be on the same page that we want to move forward sooner than later, and that there are a number of variables that have to be a part of this project, such as consideration for a train station, a parking garage to accommodate the existing and potentially additional parking for that train station. I know I always want, and anytime we can put retail and commercial on the first or second floor of anything near ocean, I fully support that to enhance the desirability to come downtown, whether it's residents or people outside of the city. So I want to make clear to anyone listening that this project is whatever we want it to be within the scope of our ability to fund and incentivize what we want to see. To the reference to the Boardwalk ice cream location and potentially Davy Camelier acquiring additional properties to partner on this project, I would say I'm looking in a different direction. And since we're in a public meeting, I can say this. We own a piece of land that currently is in possession by Davy Camelier on the other side of Federal Highway, and there is also multi-million-dollar TIF agreements, those of which expire in the coming months, if I'm correct on that time frame. The way I look at it is that Davy Camalier needs our property and needs that TIF to build his project or sell his project, and we need Boardwalk ice cream to enhance our footprint on whatever our project ultimately is. So I would personally not be encouraging or in support of him acquiring any more property on the west side of Federal for this project. I would like to have a discussion with him about how to salvage the incentives for his project by way of some sort of land swap, so that he owns that small parcel on Boynton Beach and Federal free and clear, and that way it's part of his project whenever and whatever that is. And we own Boardwalk ice cream free and clear. I think in terms of the land value, I don't know their appraised value today, but you know, anecdotally, each of those parcels is worth millions of dollars to each respective party as it relates to their broader plan. So that's what I would like to see with that specific item. So I'll wrap up my spiel by saying that I'm open to anything and everything. I spoke to the executive director and expressed my concern that just the way that the public perception rapidly evolved in what I would characterize as not exactly being what was transpiring. I have no problem pumping the brakes to engage in an RFP. I have no problem slowing this down so that the CRA solicits community input even before we partner with a developer. I want to make sure, you know, we're not going to please everybody on anything. That's just how things go. And I know that there's this outcry seemingly by some individuals that there can't be residential attached to this project. But I mean, I would just say that residential is what funds these projects. So I'm not saying it has to be an 8 or a 15-story building, but you know, building a parking garage and commercial space and a train station without any income generating property on top of it tends to make things unprofitable. So I'd be interested in an RFP. I'd be interested in making sure the community has input and seeing where it goes. You know, the sky is the limit in terms of what we could do here, because we have a $3 million piece of property plus the adjacent properties we own. So just in land value alone, we've got millions of dollars in incentive, not including potential TIF. You know, we could make this what we want so long as a developer is able to partner and be profitable, because no one's going to be a partner that's not in line for profits. That has to be a variable that people can't just dismiss. We need a developer because we are not a developer. So it's a give and take type situation. But I think there is definitively support for a quality project there that'll enhance the existing properties adjacent to it, maybe even incorporate them. So I'm excited about it, but I just want to stress that we haven't done anything. We haven't bound ourselves to anything. We haven't even really discussed specifically what we would like to see beyond, you know, the CRA consolidated plan going back a number of years. So it is a big blank canvas, and I hope the public sees it as such and doesn't let some kind of premature perceptions hinder them from having an open mind about what this could be. So you can take from all that what you will.
Thank you. And my only comment that I thought was funny is the sky is the limit. I think we have a building height limit, and I don't want to go above that.
I realized in my comments that I did not actually mean anything involving height, because that is a sensitive subject. So the possibilities are endless, I will say.
Okay. Thank you. And does anyone else from the board have comments?
My only question is just to staff, is there any progress that's been being made behind the scenes with this developer on this conversation? Because I know that's why we entertained the letter of interest, to see if there's any potential for, you know, progress here.
Well, I think to the extent that the developer can and has attempted to speak to you all as board members and ultimately property owners directing the future development of the site. They have met with business owners, one of which spoke this evening under public comment. They've met with the property owners, with the exception of, I believe, Mrs. Pleasington and Mr. Camelier. They are, I believe, I mean, they're continually redesigning and reconfiguring and rethinking their project. But as you remember, the board wasn't as specific with their dislikes. Obviously, now as time's gone on, I've heard some things this evening that I think any developer would want to know the board, is considering. I think that's very important. And being that it was unsolicited, you didn't have that opportunity to kind of get those out into the developer world before somebody responded or submitted a letter, proposing a project. I do know that they like the project. I know that they're very interested in it. I also believe that they're aware of the unfortunate, as I think Board Member Katz so eloquently stated, some of the initial perceptions of how it was being undertaken, which were, I think, inaccurate, as he well stated. But there have been some other interest, as we expected during the 90-day public notice period. The developer, I believe, right or wrong, presumed that at the end of the public notice period, they would come back to the board and begin that discussion, in addition to whatever private meetings he may have had with you individually, not as a group, but individually, and kind of see where it goes from there. So I think there's a little bit of weight on their part to see what's next for the CRA board and what they desire to see next. They have, anyone they've talked to about acquiring or not acquiring, those individual discussions I haven't been privy to, but I don't know that there's any agreement on any side to either sell or acquire a parcel that's adjacent to us. So that's where I would say I've left it. Like I said, there's been other developers who've asked for information and links to the previous meeting, the August meeting, to see what was going on. We all can, I think, internally say we anticipate receiving another letter of interest, but as of today, I haven't received anything thus far. If you'd like to have the developer back on the agenda in November to kind of engage in a discussion like you had tonight, fine. If you'd like to wait until the end of the public notice period to see what else comes your way, then that's certainly the board's prerogative. And it doesn't mean that after the 90 days that you wouldn't get another unsolicited, because unsoliciteds can be submitted at any time. So it's still open.
All right. So Michael, yeah, I think if you could speak with the developer and, give him an opportunity to review the tape, and if any of the other board members would like to make comments, because this is the only opportunity that we have to speak with one another to form a consensus. And so that's why I'm glad we were able to have this discussion so that we can move forward with a unified idea of what to do with this property.
So I'll give my input here, some input, at least from the conversations that I've had, and also seeing the reaction of individuals, informed or not, regarding this letter of interest that we accepted, just to at least look at it and entertain the idea of what is being proposed to us by this developer. My main concern that I'm seeing and that I've heard is just to the adjacent property owners and the ability to develop this area and develop it in the right way. That way we don't have to look back 5-10 years from now and say, this is where we went wrong. So that's definitely a major concern of mine at the moment. And also just looking at the offer price, that $3 million in exchange for building parking. So those are the two things that I would say kind of stand out mostly to me. I'm in the same boat as Board Member Katz, and that's exactly what I said as well on the night that we accepted this letter of interest. It was always simply to just keep an open mind. It was to explore the opportunities that have been presented before us. And that is what we are supposed to do right now with this property that we own that's in a very prime area in our downtown. I'm willing and open to entertain anything that comes before us. And if and when that offer is the right offer, then we will accept it with our terms and on our conditions, not whatever is just presented before us. So with that being said, and my 4-year-old calling me, okay, you're innocent. So that being said, that's really where I stand on all of that. And, you know, I think it's just, it's open. This is an open and prime season right now for us to be flexible and continue to receive letters and see what fits best. You know, again, a lot of the scare and the concern that came from members of the community, I think it just came from misunderstanding what the process is. So as we go through and we see other offers come to the table, and as we have staff and community members give input, perhaps through, you know, different ways of getting people's opinions or whatever, we'll have a better idea of how we want to move forward. But for sure, from what the chair has mentioned, we definitely want to make sure we do not close the door to a potential train station. We want to make sure we do not alienate or isolate surrounding property owners, so that as we were able to do somewhat successfully with Town Square, we waited and we executed at the right time, and we were able to, you know, accumulate all the necessary parts to make a product that will last way beyond our time. So that's what I would also like to see here as well, for this area.
Great, thank you.
Yes,
Well, Chair?
Board Member Hay.
Yeah, I think it's been well stated by my colleagues, so I won't go through repeating all that, except to say I do agree with them. But I've always had this in the back of my mind of that train station, some kind of train station of some type. It's been around for years, and that's what's been drilled into my head. So I don't want us to jeopardize this, but I was just wondering if I would like to know if there's any real depth, or there any meat or into the citizen proposal. Where are they planning on going with their ideas? Are they planning on having the developers to submit something with their ideas, or because I'm not in a hurry, as been stated. We want to make sure we make the right decision. We don't want to close any doors, but I just would like to have all the cards on the table to help make the right decision. And I think Board Member Katz articulated very well, and I agree with him. So as far as I'm concerned, I would like to have them come back in November. And meanwhile, we can take a look at what's on the table here, and where we're going with this, because the last time I heard, the good Lord is not going to make any more land, and that is a strategic piece of property right there. We need to do the best thing for everybody. That I know you're not going to be able to satisfy everybody, but certainly there's been some good points brought out by everybody, and we just need to lay it all out and sort it out, and come up with the best plan that we can come up with the information that we have at this time.
Sounds good. Any last comments before we move on to new business? Hearing none. New business 15A, discussion regarding the 2020 Holiday Boat Parade.
Yes, Board, we wanted to bring this item to you for really several reasons. One, I think an important one is the effect that the COVID-19 crisis and conditions have had on our planning for events and the city's planning of events. I know that the city manager has spoken to me today again about the cancellation of the holiday parade, and since I guess this is an event, the boat parade is thought of as an event affiliated in some way and associated with anyway the city, that she would certainly like us to strongly look at the safety and the welfare of individuals that may come out in public to attend or to visualize or to watch the parade go by. Also, in addition to that, the past couple of years, we've had a partnership with the city of Delray Beach, and that partnership was generated out of my concern for the fact that in previous years and over time, we had been providing funding as a CRA to a parade that involved two localities, and without the financial assistance and partnership of that second municipality, it was a CRA parade that ventured into lots of different places. So as a result, the board supported us kind of putting a condition on Delray that if it was going to continue forward into the south beyond our boundaries, then they were going to have to partner so that we could divide the expenses on each side of that boundary. This particular funding year, we've been notified by the city of Delray Beach's Park and Recreation Department that the City Commission and Delray Beach decided not to provide funding for the parade that would have been used as their match. So that is the second part of the item. We need to decide if, one, we're going to have the parade this year, and if we are, and we don't have funding from Delray, the board will need to make a determination as to where that parade stops as far as the involvement of the Boynton Beach CRA is concerned. And then if we are going to have it and we know where it's going to stop, what is our, I mean, not to say that we haven't as staff been thinking about all these questions, but now it's your turn. So the third one is, if we're going to have it, what precautions and protocols do we need to have in place at the Harbor Master Building, for instance, or any other public area, some of which the CRA does not own, like the parks, which falls out of our kind of authority and jurisdiction for use. If the city doesn't feel it's comfortable to allow people there in mass, to watch the parade at Intracoastal Park or JC Park, then we would be the one spot that we can control is our Harbor Master public space there. So if we do, how do we safely allow people to watch the parade, and what kinds of things do we do to ensure that is managed appropriately? So the first is, do we have it at all? Secondly, without the funding of Delray, it's my suggestion, and I believe legal suggestion, not to extend the parade onto its normal route or his past route without the city's involvement financially. And then third, if we are going to have it, allow staff to implement whatever we feel is necessary and the city feels is necessary to allow individuals to come out and try to watch the parade. If you have any questions, I know that that's a lot, but we have to start planning or we have to start notifying, either way.
Yes. Remember,
what kind of budget are we looking at? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, sir. The CRA board approved a $14,750 budget for the boat parade. That's in line with previous years. We inflated it a little bit because at the time, obviously, of our budget practice and our budget review as a board, we did have COVID happening. So we have added some additional money for certain things that we felt we would need regardless. But we have $14,750 allocated.
Right now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm leaning toward not having it. We're going to cancel the holiday parade. Maybe light up Ocean Avenue or something. I think between now and December, I don't think there's going to be much change. If anything, it's going to be a spike. again, in my opinion. So I'm not looking to be around a crowd of, but if majority of you guys want to, I'll just watch from home. But I just think we ought to put our heads together here and try to come up with something that would not invite crowds.
Chair.
Yes.
There was two of us.
I don't know. Well, one of them I can't see. So Vice Chair, why don't you begin?
Thank you. So I'm leaning towards not continuing this for now, not just because of the reasons that Board Member Hayes just mentioned, but also it's hard to proceed without our partner. I think that's a major roadblock. And so if we can think of something that would be something that more people could be a part of, that is the direction I'd like to go in. We have the safety concern. We don't have our partner. I really enjoyed the boat parade last year, but I would be open to other options here.
Yeah, my concern is that I know that videography has gotten very good in these past couple years, but it's difficult to film a nighttime light show. And so I don't know if the new iPhone or the new Samsung can adequately, get the feel of being there. But that's something that I would like to consider. As we've had in past years done it as only the Boynton boat show. I think that it is something that the CRA does well, and this is an opportunity to get people to the CRA. And so one of the things that I would want it to be socially distanced, and with that, how do you create a fair and reasonable aspect of getting the individuals to go see the show who want to see the show. For me, I was speaking with the executive director. I said, why don't we try to have a raffle with certain businesses for people? So, for example, people that go to Two Georges Banana Boats, they can apply for a raffle for certain spots at our Harbor Master location. And I think, the point of the boat show is to advertise the CRA businesses. And so if we don't move forward with the boat show, what are the things can we do to help advertise the CRA businesses? And so that's something that I remember when we had our movies in the park, we had those beginning raffles for, a $10, $25 gift card or something in that sense. So that's something that if we don't move forward with the boat show, but I'm looking for a way to help market it. I know that we have Boynton Beach Bucks, and so hopefully we can get a response in November, because I'd like to see that happen before the holiday season be implemented, where the CRA can give money and then the certain businesses can exchange that money for real money from the CRA. And so that's something that I like to move forward with a discussion, but I don't want to guarantee that we're going to have it in December. I think that's something that we would need to make a final decision in November, because, correct, the aspect of certain businesses being open 100%, we don't want to be a part of a super spreading event.
Yep.
We've seen the politics and the examples of it, and it's kind of like it only takes one person involved. So that's kind of where I think if we can't have a virtual or socially distanced boat parade, then let's find a way to help advertise the businesses for the holiday season and create some sort of a raffle according to the law, Tara, that we're not that we can do. And so we're not raising money, I don't think. So it'll be all right. We're giving money away. And so that's what I'd like to see moving forward.
Chair. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Who is the second person?
That was me, Chair.
Yes, Board Member Katz.
So here's my outside the box idea, and people can take it or leave it. But I kind of agree with Board Member Hay that sadly the likelihood is in 45 days or whenever, 50 days, whenever we might cross into December, that not much is going to change, or if anything, it might be of more concern for people because of the flu and the combination of that with COVID. I would suggest hypothetically maybe pushing this back and calling it a Christmas in July type thing and holding it at the end of July, like an end of the summer type thing, so it doesn't push up too close with the 4th of July. But my hope would be that by then some social distancing requirements would be relaxed, hopefully. It would create a unique event at a unique time when businesses typically see a reduction in their activity because it's the summertime. So it might just be a unique enough draw that captures people's attention. So I would be open to a kind of Christmas in July holiday boat parade, where local businesses in the CRA could set up in the marina and advertise themselves, in whatever fashion that looks like. So just trying to think outside the box, because in December, I worry that almost anything is still going to be difficult to pull off in a meaningful way, at least anything physical or involving people showing up. So that's my broad outside the box idea, to create a one-time unique late July end of summer event that people might be hungry for after a year of not going to events.
Interesting.
Vice Chair.
Could we light up Ocean Avenue? I think Commissioner Hay, Board Member Hay was starting to mention that, we've got the town square and we've got the marina on the other end. So if the funds are available, in addition to these other ideas, I'd like to see it lit up with some holiday lights. I think people generally like that. That would mean that people are more likely to walk out, stroll, hopefully not in big crowds, but socially distance. And I think that'll bring some activity into our developing downtown. So I'd like to see some holiday lights.
Yes, Vice Chair. That's been that location at Dewey Park where we have had the lights in previous years. I think people see it and they drive by now with whatever we have in Town Square. And in previous years, we didn't have the businesses that opened just last year when we did it. We didn't have all the businesses in 500 Ocean that have opened since then, right? So you've got not just Hurricane Alley there with people wanting to go. You've got 4 or 5 other businesses now, 6 businesses, some eateries, some beauty services. But I think there's a lot, and all the residents, you've got a lot more traffic there. I think that's something we have funding for. It's roughly anywhere from $4,500 to $6,500 for the lights that we did. We have a budget line item for equipment and specialty services. So we do have funding for that wouldn't affect perhaps a Christmas in July type event if you decided to do that. But that would be something I think would be a nice impact to folks, if you so choose.
I would concur with the additional lights, and I think it's also speak with Sky, the owners of 500 Ocean, to see about more of a permanent light structure there with enhanced lights for the holiday season. It's kind of like when you go down Clematis and you see all the lights.
Yes,
it definitely gives it a different feel. And so if we're trying to make Ocean Avenue our main street, this is something that I think we need to have discussions with them. So moving forward. So I don't think we have a consensus to move forward with the boat parade. I do think we have consensus to do holiday lights, and that we'll look into see if people want to be outside in July. And then the other request is that I had is the Boynton Beach Bucks or a raffle. Is that something that is planning to roll out next month?
I don't know if Mercedes or Renee are on. We would definitely do a holiday, and we always do a holiday kind of push for our local businesses and advertising. But I can't personally speak to the Boynton Bucks, but if one of the staff is on that can answer, that would be great.
Yes, Mike. For Mercedes Coppin Business Promotions and Events Manager, the Boynton Beach Bucks program, that is something that staff is currently working to develop and to finalize. We are hoping to have that released. We were looking for the holiday season, but we were thinking it might be in January, but we could certainly push that up per your request and try and get that rolled out by December.
Yeah, that's something that I'd like to, it's weird not having the Lord Governor here at our meeting announcing Pirate Fest. And so I know that was, our big thing,
right,
to get people in the CRA and doing the different treasure hunts. And so that's something that, I'm looking to, I know that we gave the cash infusion when COVID started, but now it's, as you heard, it's kind of, we're not back to where we were. This is a new normal. And so if we can find ways to help advertise, help promote business with the different businesses that are in the CRA, I would be happy to spend additional funding if necessary to give something back to our residents and to our patrons of our CRA businesses.
Absolutely.
Remember, hey?
Work on that and bring that back to you as requested next month.
Yes, Board Member Hay. Nope, you're still muted. All right, so while he gets his microphone in. No, I think that's it.
He goes.
All right, no worries. We'll hear from you soon. The next is item 15B, consideration of the interlocal agreement between the Boynton Beach CRA and the City of Boynton Beach for certain enhancements to the Sarah Sims Park Amphitheater.
Yes, Board. This item was brought to you as part of our budget approval for the fiscal year 2020-21. You had set aside, as previously mentioned during our project review, the amount of funding of $50,000 to assist the city in upgrading or enhancing the existing amphitheater pavilion at Sarah Sims Park. This is a standard ILA between the CRA and the city for the use and the expenditure of funds as appropriate under statutory requirements as a reimbursement only. What we have is a approved interlocal agreement, but what I don't have for you this evening is a more detailed explanation of exactly what that funding will be paying for. Obviously, if you approved it this evening, no funds would be reimbursed until all of that was presented. But if you'd like to wait and have as an attachment what they're going to do, or at least an idea, some type of conceptual, so that you know exactly what the funding is being, how it's being addressed or used, we can table it and bring it back in November.
I'd like to move forward with the funding so that the community knows that we're moving forward with the platform. The issue that I have is regarding the electrical or any sort of speakers or any sort of enhancements that may be possible because we are building up the platform so that when the city comes to the CRA board and gives us the plans and we approve the plans, because I want to make sure that we approve the final plans before the city starts spending the money, that we have all the information. And I think And then the other request that we received at the city commission meeting is that construction does not start until after the June 19th holiday weekend. So planning and permitting can start ahead, but not any construction until the Juneteenth holiday weekend has happened, because I do believe the city will be having an event there.
Do you not want, if it's possible, to make the enhancements before the event? Will the amphitheater be utilized? I mean, is it something that might actually be done by the time that event happens and the stage could be used in its new form?
The issue is that if they're wrong and it's not, let's, if it's, a 3-month project or a 2-month project or a 1-month project, that's something that we'll look at, but we'll wait to hear what the city has next month. And hopefully we can help guide or partner with the city with the timeline of the development.
Yes, sir.
Board member Hay, can we hear you?
If approved, it will go to the city commission for their approval and execution as well.
So board member Hay, if you approve of the spending of the money on the Sarah Sims Park, give me a thumbs up when we call for a motion. So may I have yeah.
I just want to be clear, because I think it would be an amendment to the agreement, Mike, to say that the plans have to be reviewed before we would agree to reimbursement. I don't think that, I would just want the motion to be clear.
It doesn't say that the plans need to be reviewed. It says that the expenditures can only be used for enhancement of the amphitheater, and that would be the reimbursable. So if the invoices don't match the work, then, but if the board would like to request seeing it, then certainly we can amend it.
I thought what I heard the mayor suggest was that we would add a provision that said that prior to a reimbursement, the CRA would approve plans. If I'm making that up, you can ignore me, but that would need to be added to a motion to approve if there's agreement to add that.
So Tara, if I want to be clear, that my request is that the CRA board approves the plans, not to say that we don't fund the plans, because it's part of the $50,000 that we're approving, but we, it's kind of like the RFPs that we have approved the site plan before the developer moves forward. I'd like to approve the final construction timeline and everything before the city moves forward.
Okay, so that would need to be added to as a term. So that would just need to be, I'd agree, if someone's inclined to make a motion, it would be a motion to approve with an addition of the clause to require CRA approval of the site plan.
Perfect. Thank you, Tara.
May I have that motion, please?
So move as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor state so by saying aye or giving a thumbs up. Aye.
Aye.
Blink twice. Yes.
All right. And the last new business item is the village's project update.
Yes, board. This is just a very simple kind of update for you, as requested and discussed just briefly at your September meeting. I spoke to, I guess, John, if you want to bring up the attachment 1, at least then individuals in the audience will know what the conceptual villages is, and that's what we're talking about. This is the area between Boynton Beach Boulevard and Southeast 2nd Avenue as the north and south borders, and the east and west is 3rd Street, and then the railroad tracks on the east. I spoke to Mr. Almeida and at length this week, or last week, I'm sorry, and he has met with numerous developers over the last year plus on really almost 2 years on trying to sell the project or find a joint venture partner. To date, nothing has come concrete or has been offered that he's come close to signing, although again, he's getting calls, quite regularly. They're just not able to hammer out the details costs of construction obviously are driving up some of that decision making by both the owner, Mr. Almeida, and potential developers. The map that you're seeing now is just an overall development map of the Boynton Beach Boulevard and cultural districts. And you can see outlined in orange there, that's the boundary of the Villages project, which is site plan approved. So theoretically, once it was approved 2 years ago, they could have started drawing construction drawings and shovels in the ground. But unfortunately, that isn't where we are now. And I certainly have made myself available to Mr. Dalmeda for, ever since this project was kind of being thought of as a person to contact, and happy to meet with him and developers. So we stay in touch about it, but the update is that he's still trying to find a partner or a purchaser of the project as of today.
Yeah. My comments, I did speak with Mr. Dalmeda, and he was opened up to the idea of adding more economic development or to the project. And that's something that I know with the 500 Ocean, with their TURFA agreement, we requested that they build the retail shops on the first floor and the office space on the second floor. Little did we know that one company wanted all of that office space. And so, I'd like to see if the CRA board is willing to open up discussions with Mr. Dalmeda for the Villages of Boynton to see if we could use TIF funding to get more office space in our downtown. So I got a head nod from the vice chair.
Yes, I support this, Mayor. It's good to have this mixture, not just residential.
And I got a thumbs up from board member Hay. And so, Michael, if you want to review the turf agreement with 500 Ocean and have that conversation with Mr. Dalmeda so that we can hopefully propose something, and that, the fact, in order to get something developed, the cost of construction has to be less than the amount of money, or has to be less than the finance amount of money needed to pay off that cost.
Okay. I will. Thank you. I'll let you know what happened from those discussions.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none. The CRA Advisory Board. They reviewed a couple of different parcels, I believe.
Yes, they did, and they're actively working on their pending assignment is to review existing properties for sale and other properties that might not be, just as to provide the board with recommendations and support comments on future investing with regard to land acquisition along the Boynton Beach Boulevard corridor and the Federal Highway corridor.
Excellent.
Chair,
Yes.
could I make a suggestion? Could we ask one of those advisory board members to actually come to our meeting and give us an update? I think, for me at least, I think it'd be beneficial to actually hear it directly from them.
I think that'd be good, but what I would also say is that we move it up to announcements at the beginning of the meeting rather than at the last item on the agenda. So
we don't make them wait. I think that's sensible.
That's one thing, but so yeah, I'd like to hear their recommendations, either to buy or not to buy, and any reasons that they have or any comments that they'd like to have. I know that when Linda was the chair, she used to come to the old city hall meetings. So we'll ask the chair and vice chair if one of them can attend.
Great.
And that leaves us with future agenda items. The only thing that I'd like to add would be our regard to economic development. I know that the city is looking forward to doing that. that we gave a broad brush, but not to include our town square. I'd also like to see if the CRA board is willing to include any other project that's currently mixed-use project that is in the works, such as Riverwalk or One Ocean, to see if we can help with the economic development, or to hear their thoughts on regarding our apprenticeship program, because I don't know if they started construction on the Riverwalk yet, but it's something that, I feel if we give, as we mentioned, if we're giving TIF funding, we would want to see that community benefits. So the broad brush stroke is that I'd like to give the CRA staff the opportunity to discuss economic development and community benefits agreements with mixed-use projects that are currently site plan approved or in the middle, except for the town square project as stated by City Commission.
Chair.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with anything that's not in progress. I wouldn't want to go to Riverwalk and their ownership because they haven't asked for anything. So I wouldn't want to slow their project down any more than whatever their pace is, which I believe that they're, moving forward one now that they've finished the out parcels and the rest of the shopping center. So if it'd be one thing if there's something that really hasn't materialized, but I wouldn't want to get involved in an active project personally.
Okay. I'm okay with non-active projects. All right. Is there anything else? Or I get a motion to adjourn.
So,
All right. John, do you mind providing a closing?
Yes, thank you. As a reminder, a recorded version of this session will be posted to the CRA's YouTube channel. Links to that channel are available on the CRA's website at catchboynton.com. This concludes today's meeting. On behalf of Boynton Chair Stephen Grant, all of our board members, the CRA director, and CRA staff, thank you for attending tonight's meeting. Be safe and have a great evening.
Good night.
Thank you all. Good night. Thank you. Be safe.